You might suggest that this has not been exactly one of the very best weeks for the current Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. He likes you to keep pointing out actually that he's been knighted, but nobody really has taken any interest in that. And consequently, I think he blew it on the world stage. Well, he's done that many times, of course, but I think he blew it on the world stage when he pointed out, he couldn't be sort of humble about it. No, no, no. He had to point out to the world that in fact, he and His Majesty the King, King Charles, well, bottom line is, they both work as hard as each other and they couldn't decide who was the workaholic. When you think about it, he's got these expensive teams of spin doctors around him telling him exactly how he should portray himself, and then he steps in front of the camera and makes an absolute pig's ear of it, right? But none more so than this. And apparently, according to an excellent source, this brings tears to Khan's eyes. Let me explain. Morning, good to see you. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you're keeping well. Politics is just a never-ending whirl, isn't it? There's always another disaster coming around. Is it like that, by the way, in your part of the world? There's one big crisis, whether it be the housing minister, whether it be, the deputy prime minister, Lord Mandelson, relieving himself against a wall. You know what I'm saying? Everything just disastrous, right? But there's something so quick following on that you almost can't keep up with it, And there lies the problem. I remember when President Trump first came over to London and labelled the Mayor of London a stone cold loser. And of course, many people were divided at that point. In fairness, the Trump administration wasn't exactly at the best at that. But then, second time around, it tends to work out a lot better, right? However, things have now really got, well, quite bad to say the least. As I say, Sadiq Khan is not doing well. He sort of trumpeted these brand new trains that were going to be marvellous and all that sort of stuff. Within days, they broke down and they're now out of commission. Maybe learn to sort of let things bed in, but no, that's not Khan's way. We're supposed to be grateful of cleaner air, but we're all worried, of course, about climate change because he keeps pointing it out. Yet around this area and around many areas that I work with in London, the leaves are blocking the drains. If you blocked or unblocked the drains, we wouldn't necessarily have all the flooding. But no, let's paint another gay zebra crossing. That's far more important, right? However, where this gets really interesting again is, once again, Mayor Khan has been called out across the world, not just by President Trump, but by Councillor Susan Hall. Now we suddenly realise that we do have a problem with the Pakistani grooming gangs in London. And finally, the British Metropolitan Police have decided to minorly get involved. But given an opportunity to apologise to all the victims that he claimed apparently didn't exist because he didn't really understand what this councillor meant, well, again, that's got back to the ears of the President of the United States. Now, following yet another exclusive interview with a British television channel, what's fascinating about this is he once again laid into the fact that when he came over here, what he saw and what was reported to him, including no-go areas in London, which I've reported on to you exclusively on our channel, well, there are more and more and more. Sharia law is rife, whatever he wants to admit, because clearly the police dare not go into areas of London because they're just frightened about the backlash and what it might do. And remember, the person at the top in charge of all of this, you've guessed it, is Khan. But according to an excellent source, it's this really that sets Khan in tears. You see, he believes now that he's been bullied simply because of his skin colour and, more importantly, his background and religion. President Trump is very, very clear. He never mentions religion, never mentions colour. He just is a businessman. And what he's looking at is what we're really seeing. Now, what Khan and his team are going to try and do, and I'm letting you know this first, is spin this back. Because apparently they're going to say that President Trump's hurty words to the Mayor of London are going to be sort of detrimental for tourists coming here. No, no, no. There are many individual people, tourists themselves, printing things out, talking about Rolexes being stolen, threatened on the tube, spooked with people with knives. You see the picture. So when you read that particular story, it's up to you whether you want to feel sorry for the Mayor of London, or do you agree the bigger picture that has been presented by none other than the President of the United States. As I said earlier in the video, basically President Trump labelled him a stone cold loser and the worst mayor in the world. Now he simply says he's a nasty man. If you came to London and saw what I see on a daily basis and the terrible crime that's rife, the tents that are now popping up everywhere in some of our most beloved areas, then you might think one person is absolutely telling the truth. I'll let you work that one out. If you can, as ever, chums, please like, share and comment respectfully. Neil Shawn in the very heart of London.